there's been no uptick.
Bear market lows.
been annoying, and it's been very much like the bear market. And someone asked me on my live stream yesterday about what was it like in 2020, 2021. And I was like, well, I wanted to just play Football Manager. I gave up on it because it was boring. So, guys, what is your 2025 catalyst, so to speak, to revive the market?
Um, well, Trump's obviously had quite a big impact on the market so far, probably more negative than positive. So potentially him bringing out some sort of policies that are going to benefit crypto. Obviously, the Bitcoin Strategic Reserve has been rumored but not confirmed, so that could be a big catalyst if and when it happens. But the other one is ETFs, altcoin ETFs. So I think there's a strong chance that you're going to get the ones that have been rumored so far. Is it Doge, Litecoin, XRP, Solana? So I think they could revive the market a little bit. We've already seen some. I mean, we've talked about alts being weak over the last couple of episodes, but they're having a pretty strong bounce so far over the last couple of days, and I think they might have been flushed out, ready for a big run, and the ETFs could be the catalyst for that. But the question is, do they perform like the Bitcoin ETF or the Ethereum ETF? Because there's been a big
Yeah,
difference.
that's the question, isn't it? It's great saying, oh, ETFs. And if you've been a member of our Learning Crypto for a while, or if you've been a subscriber to the channel, we were very much, I think, blindsided a little bit by the Ethereum ETF. It came out of nowhere, if you remember. It kind of like, whoa, what the hell? And I wasn't expecting it in that calendar year. I don't think anyone was. And it all changed. And yeah, it's the performance of the Ethereum ETF as an overall situation has been, it's been pretty poor, been lackluster versus obviously Bitcoin. Obviously, yeah, Bitcoin's different. It's sound money. But you got to think of it like as a normie retailer, right? In your opinion, what do you think is going to do better? Ethereum, Litecoin, or Dogecoin, or even XRP as an ETF? I would say the more the meme and the XRP would probably get more interest versus Ethereum. But I don't know. What do you think?
I think XRP, excuse the pun, has that X factor, where it's got obviously a huge cult following in the hardcore crypto community, but also it's very what do you call it? It's very popular with the masses,
Yeah,
with retail.
easy
So
to sell.
yeah, and I think that sort of gives it that stamp of validity, where people go, "Oh God, it's got an ETF." So and it opens up institutional investment. So it's obviously popular with the banks as well, isn't it? So yeah, it sort of ticks a lot of boxes.
Why don't you think about Ethereum as well? Like, how do you describe Ethereum? Like, if someone asks you, "Oh, what's Ethereum?" and you think, "Is it a metal?" You go down that route, don't you? You think, what is it? And then
Yeah,
like with XRP or even with Dogecoin or even Solana, it's probably easier to explain. So maybe there was that element of marketing that kind of was a bit flawed, and you can see the performance indicators of Bitcoin versus Ethereum. It's like honestly, it's chalk and cheese. It's unbelievable. It's so bad, but I think with XRP and I think with Dogecoin especially as well, marketability. I think it'd be chalk and cheese. I think it'd be so much better. But I don't think that's going to save the market, though. I don't think we can just rely on ETFs because since the ETFs has happened, Bitcoin has ruled the roost. Don't get me wrong. Obviously, yeah, it's a bit contradictory in a way, but you can't just have everyone then pile into Dogecoin or pile into XRP because that doesn't change the narrative. It doesn't change the situation. So yeah,
it'd
it's
be very
baffling that where we
interesting.
are right now.
It'd be very interesting to see what the flows are like, because as I say, you
Yeah,
look at the Ethereum flows compared to the Bitcoin flows, and they're just chalk and cheese, like you say.
it
There'll be that initial excitement, that initial
yeah.
pump, and they'll probably just die off, which is exactly what happened on the Ethereum, both the USD and the BTC pair. You had a big spike and then just melted away.
And also, institutional hedges of short positions on Ethereum is massive at the minute. It's like the biggest ever. So there's a lot of factors that play why Ethereum's not doing well, but I don't think it's all just due to the ETF. I think there's part of it, but I think it'll be all right. I think what we need is what we can see in Europe. In Europe, in certain countries, you've got like a basket of assets as an ETF. No one really knows of it because it's very, very small. But if you think about an ETF in one positive light, if you can have like an index ETF, sorry, of say obviously Bitcoin, Ethereum, maybe Solana, Dogecoin, XRP, as a five, that would be very, very interesting for people to put their money in, so to speak. But it's all the cash in, cash out vibe. That's what people like about it. Yes, the ETFs have to buy the spot. People put their money in it. They get the units of whatever they got, and then they can manage that as a normal investment vehicle. It's opened the world. So in terms of the charting, we'll keep it simple today. With the likes of Bitcoin, it has been dominant a little bit over the last few days. Nothing crazy, but we've had a lot of nothingness
We've had
until
strong level of support, and we're at 96, which has held up pretty well.
yeah, through that this whole area, it's been pretty strong. It kind of was a bit zippy zappy, and then it feels like we're going to go back up towards that 100k level. But
Yeah.
ultimately, on the left hand side or the right hand side, sorry, a lot of the altcoin market is very green versus Bitcoin today. 0.63% move on Bitcoin. Everything else is up quite a lot, significantly, apart from maybe Ethereum and stuff like that. But a lot of altcoins are somewhat bouncing, and as well, like look at Cardano. Cardano's
Yeah.
having a real
Cardano moving like it's going to get an ETF.
or it wants an ETF, more to the
Yeah.
point. Give me one. So
It wouldn't
yeah, stuff
surprise
like
me.
that's interesting.
Wouldn't surprise me if it got one.
100%. I mean, it looks like it's going to go and retest resistance levels up here
Yeah.
somewhere. But we talked about it over the last couple of weeks. We can't keep going down forever. I know we've been pretty bearish, but ultimately there's been a really good price action drop, and we've been following it pretty nicely to a T. But there will be a situation where there will be, essentially those liquidations will happen, things will flip, and people will get cocky, and it'll go too much too quickly, and then all of a sudden the late shorters will just get battered. So, in terms of technicals, it's not too bad at the minute. I mean, I'm going to look at overall. What is interesting though at the minute, dominance. Have we topped? That's the ultimate question, and I don't know if we've topped or not here. I don't know what you think of if we've topped or not, but
It
an
looks
ETF
toppy.
or something could be a very interesting marker for this.
It certainly looks toppy. The only real catalyst or reason for dominance to continue go up would be another break of all-time highs for BTC, because that's what we've seen throughout the cycle. And every time it looks like Bitcoin dominance is going to come down, Bitcoin then breaks all-time highs, and you get that resurgence of dominance.
Yeah, that's the that's the thing that catches people out. It's like, yeah, great, happy days, things are going what we wanted to do, and then all of a sudden that dominance squeezes higher and higher and higher. Thinking, oh my god, like a couple of weeks ago, we've all thought, oh, it's probably top now. Nope, definitely not. And all coins have made new lows from the lows that they already had. And when we talk about lows, we're talking about the breaking low lows. Like, wow, like just there's been no
Yeah,
uptick.
bear
It's
market lows.
been annoying, and it's been very much like the bear market. And someone asked me on my live stream yesterday about what was it like in 2020, 2021. And I was like, well, I wanted to just play Football Manager. I gave up on it because it was boring. The price action back then was terrible. It worked, but it was slow. Nothing was happening. And Ethereum didn't pump at all until it really started randomly going. But then again, Ethereum went from $1,400 down to 82.
Yeah,
It's
it's
quite a bit,
insane.
quite a drop. And
Yeah,
then people lost their belief a little bit. So there's many catalysts at play here. But yeah, the ETF one's a really interesting one. Does it just slow the market, diminishing returns, the lower what do you call it, volatility now with Bitcoin's interesting. Has Ethereum became that as well now because it's not moving? Ooh, so many unanswered
well,
questions.
it's not moving up.
Yeah, it's like, oops. Yeah, it's just moving down, isn't it? That's what I mean. Like the last 3 months, net short on most altcoins, you probably would have been profitable, which is
Yeah,
mad.
yeah,
I think,
from November, December,
mm,
absolutely.
yeah,
It's
I
funny
think,
because earlier in the cycle, about a year or so ago, maybe even 18 months ago, we talked about potential like top signals. and we talked about altcoins getting ETFs as a potential.
Yeah.
But I mean, we originally said like the ETH ETF, but then that came out so much earlier than anyone anticipated.
Oh yeah.
But then we talked about obviously altcoin ETFs and what you mentioned earlier about like a basket of altcoins ETFs or index ETF, and we thought that
Mm.
could be like the top of the market, which who knows? Like it could if they come out in another couple of months, who knows? Because we are quite deep into the cycle now.
Or it could have been just Donald Trump releasing a meme coin and his wife releasing a meme coin. That was the top of the cycle.
Yeah, who knows? Maybe the top isn't.
Nah, I don't think it is to be honest with you, but I just think there's a lot of factors at play which is very different. It's harder to navigate. We've mentioned it before. Like ETFs is a whole new ball game. Yeah, it could work out. Could be a long term burner, but we didn't have. I think because we were that blindsided by the Ethereum one, it just didn't have that run up. It didn't have that kind of hype. Whereas even with the Bitcoin one, we had a bit of a hype. We had a sell off like normal, and then we shot off like a rocket. So the analysis wise, it's interesting to know. But yeah, I think I still believe, and I think a lot of people believe that like there's not enough water to fill everyone's trough at the minute with
Yeah,
altcoins, and I think the ETFs will probably help that with certain elements of it. But then that will probably solidify and cement that the top coins are going to remain top coins, blue chips, so to speak. Maybe who knows? That could be a huge factor at play. But yeah, it's psychology, isn't it? It's like when it's extremely bearish, it feels like it's over, but it's actually maybe time to buy. And then the other way around, it's obviously peak euphoria. But we've not had either, I don't think. We can probably argue more. We've had more bottomish vibes and top vibes, I think,
in
this
altcoins
cycle.
for sure.
Yeah.
Altcoins have felt like they've been in a bear market.
Apart
Really
from
have.
like one little relief in like what January of 2024
Yeah,
into February, which was nice. Don't get me wrong, but wow, it's like this is just it's fatigue and yeah, the Ethereum ETF kicked the can down the road a little bit longer, and we thought there was a bit of hope there, but it didn't work. And then are we looking at another kick can where we're like, oh, ETFs, oh, something happening? Kind of reminds me of 2018 with the consensus event where we're like all hoping for that, that
yeah,
event
I
to
remember that.
pump the market. Did the opposite. It just nuked it completely. Horrible.
Yeah, that is one thing to to consider in both 2018 and in 2022. You didn't know you were in a bear market.
No, didn't.
So whilst it's very unlikely that the top is in, could easily look back and go, oh, yeah, that was the top.
What's interesting is in the prior cycles, as you say, it felt different versus now, but the market moved. It had movement, it had volatility where sometimes just nothing happens, it just creeps lower and lower and lower. And yeah, don't get me wrong, we teach traders. Feel free to subscribe to our channel and do the free courses that we've got on here. But if you're a trader, great, but you're a trader. The price action has been awful, realistically, with all the speculation, with the fact that Bitcoin is like so topsy turvy. It's horrible. It's like it goes up 1% and it drops 0.5%, and your altcoins go down 5% on on command. It's like what? Why? What's wrong
Yeah,
with you?
it's altcoins and their reaction to BTC's movements are just extreme at the moment.
It it's different. I know people are like, oh, but it's just the market. No, it's different. Like years ago, you could have easily traded an altcoin and it wouldn't have sneezed as much. Like we're talking about screwing up your entire trade analysis because Bitcoin's dropped 1%, and you literally invalidate. Like it's awful,
And the
awful.
other problem is Bitcoin is so sensitive to the news at the moment as well.
Yeah, that
Every
brings
time
me on
Trump's
to
dropped a tariff,
what's happening now. Tariffs coming out,
yeah.
CPI tomorrow. You've got Jerome Powell speaking today. You know, inflation data. Like 5 years ago, we never did CPI learning crypto. We never talked about FOMC. We never talked about non-farm payroll. Why? Because it's becoming more institutionalized, which is fair enough. I like that in a way. But when you've now got the hybrid of like, you got to basically think like a Forex trader, basically, right? So in the world of Forex, you don't really trade on non-farm payroll unless you're a big boy player. And even the stock market, with certain earnings, you just don't do it. Simple. Whereas now you got to think, right, what's happening in the main traditional market? will Bitcoin react to it? If Bitcoin reacts to it, you don't trade altcoins because ultimately you're just going to get thrown about. And we're not talking about, oh, but you can remain in a position. Yeah, you can, but you might get thrown out one way before it goes the right way that you already picked, which is fair enough. But this is why stop losses matter. And it's hard. It is hard. The market has changed, but having ETFs is one solution, but it may be the solution that actually nullifies the market even more in a way. So it may be good. It may well create a bit of separation, but ultimately it might be the best thing ever. It might make the obvious coins become in their own right an obvious coin, which is kind of what in some way we want in a way, because I'm sick of having too many altcoins. I think there's too many of them. I think they need to stand up and be their own entity, so to speak, and not rely on Bitcoin, not rely on that pair, so to speak. So when Bitcoin's just doing its own thing and just doesn't care, and then it throws its toys out the pram, guess who gets hit in the head? The altcoins, so to speak. I know we just mentioned CPI, but it's on the screen just in case you're wondering. They're expecting it to stay the same. Fingers crossed it does. If it comes in higher than that, it might well nuke the market, so to speak. If it comes in a bit better, it might not. Obviously, this will depend on so many factors, of course. With this as well, obviously, it's a factor for interest rates. And if interest rates get lowered, you may well find that the markets pump, and that might be very, very good for the world of crypto. Or not, who knows? Depends on what way they want to go. And obviously, yes, we've mentioned certain things. Obviously, ETFs. We've got other catalysts such as strategic reserve of Bitcoin. Gold's currently running quite hard at the minute, and the stock market's still doing relatively well. But the one thing, and I think we all agree, and the one thing only is what we want more than anything is altcoins to do well, but they're not. That's the worst thing. But yeah, I've already asked you what your weight of Bitcoin is, and it's pretty much in the really really high numbers. And here's a question, right? Are you attached to your Bitcoin, and if there's an opportunity, will you rotate it into an altcoin, knowing how bad the market's been?
I don't think I trust them anymore. Like, I'm sure, like, there's almost no doubt in my mind that they will bounce and that all BTC pairs will have a run. But in the past, the previous two cycles, they would just run and run and run and run, and you'd
Yeah,
get your 3, 4, 5, 6, maybe 10x. Whereas now, I don't even know if they'll do 100%.
that's that.
And so,
Yeah,
really, you used to. It sounds silly now, especially if you're new to the market, but you used to invest in altcoins. You would buy the bear market lows and you would wait for the market to turn and then you would sell them much higher. Whereas now you have to trade them. So if
hmm
you're trying to build your Bitcoin up using altcoins, you actually have to be more of a trader than an investor.
yeah,
So the market has changed. You have to be much more in and out and focused on the market movements rather than, as I say before, you used to be able to just buy and hold.
yeah. It's changed. I mean, that's the thing. Like, even when you look at Solana, it's hardly moved in a year in BTC pair, but on the USD pair, it looks amazing. It's
Yeah,
not
it's
fronting.
ranged for the past year, isn't
Yeah,
it? Not gone
yeah,
anywhere.
crazy. And that's what I mean. Like, you may well put your faith in the ETF coins. You might well buy Solana. You'd be like, right, I'm happy with Solana. I'll buy X amount of that. I'll keep a Bitcoin. But there's no guarantee that Solana is going to make you any more money than holding Bitcoin, which is mad. And then there'll be certain cyclical elements where you can go, you know what, I can take someone off the table here. I don't know, it's bearish, and people are like, oh, but I'm making money in USD. But in the same time period, if you are not growing more satoshis versus say whatever whatever you've got, so to speak, you're not going to make it. So there's no point. That's where you get attachment elements to it, and I'm the same. I mean, I hold some altcoins, but I think to myself, well, what's the point? It's coming up to tax season soon, so I might as well just bug out and just take a massive
Take
tax
the
loss.
loss.
Yeah, because the thing with me, some of my Bitcoin's been bought yonks ago. So it's like, if I sell any of that, it's going to hurt. So can't even trade my Bitcoin to make more Bitcoin now because it's tax issues. Oh, fuck my life. So yeah, sorry, we've ruined everyone's Tuesday. Apologies. But no, maybe the options are the ETFs. I mean, it sounds dumb, but what if we are looking now at the start of the blue chip coins potentially getting built, which is mad. Who knows? Who knows? It's a interesting question. I wouldn't have put XRP and Dogecoin and Ethereum as my top three though if I were thinking blue chips, but here we are.
Yeah, well, the market decides, doesn't it?
Oh no, it's absolutely horrible to think.